It pisses me right off. I'll tell you right now. Hello again. Isn't it weird, Patty? We'll be getting into a subject that makes people uncomfortable, or they don't want to hear about it, or don't want to talk about it, and then all of a sudden, then I have issues with the connection. I think that happens way too often. Uh, so apparently, some people don't like what's being said, but it just tweaked out on me. It said your connection's messed up. But again, like I said, rest of the internet's fine. It's not like I went offline. It was just the stream. So very strange how that happens. But yep, crazy. I think those people are reporting it to YouTube. Who knows? Who knows? Yeah, hell is inside. Yep, hell is inside. So just crazy stuff altogether. I know we had. Yeah, who knows? People get. I don't know. It's just what are you going to do? You know. Yeah, I saw that Germany had their election. I don't know how that one came out yet. I hadn't seen the results of that yet, but it'll be interesting. They're. I think what it is in the reality, in the big scheme of things, I think most people. It's just like you look at Canada. Trudeau's resigning, right? So he's out. I think people have just had enough, uh, and not just in the United States, not just in Canada, right? Um, in the UK, in Germany, wherever around the world, people have just gone. You know what? I've had enough. Thought on Trump trying to abolish the IRS, no federal income tax. I hope they do. Absolutely, I hope they do. The theft of the American people. You know, here's what I try to explain to people: we're all slaves, right? You may not think you're a slave, but try to not pay your property tax and see how long you keep your home. Try not paying, you know, um, or registering your car and getting insurance and trying to drive out there. They have the revenue collectors out there to get you because if you don't comply, right? As long as you keep paying those taxes, you're a slave. And actually, federal income tax was not supposed to be um, a lifelong thing. It's not supposed to be a lifelong thing. So, I'll be really happy if they do that. Now, I doubt they'll ever abolish all that. I hope they do, but I know he just laid off, fired, whatever way you want to put it, 1,000 people from the IRS. But who remembers under the Biden administration? And again, and I hate going left and right with this. It's just politician crap, okay? But who remembers them hiring 87,000 IRS agents? You think those agents were hired to just go after the rich? Were they hired to go after the rich folks? I don't think so. Has anybody ever had? Let me ask you guys this one because I've had this happen to me. Paid my taxes, went to my tax person, got my taxes done, and then 2 3 years later, I get a letter from the IRS says, "Oh, you didn't pay enough, so here's how much more you have to pay. Here's your penalty, and here's your fine that you didn't pay enough back 2 3 years ago." You have no recourse on that. You can't fight that. You just got to pay. So, and with all corruption, you have no choice but either to blame the left or the right. I understand that. I understand that. Ed, you got people in the fast food that want a living wage. Can you imagine what that food will cost for the workers to get their wishes and how many fast food places will close their doors? Oh, absolutely. If somebody wants $20 an hour to work at, Burger King or McDonald's, There's a lot of those that are going to close, and the food prices are just going to continue to go up. They've already gone up. I mean, I think everybody watching right now is witnessed the food prices just go astronomical. I just actually saw a very interesting thing about the eggs, okay? And it was basically talking about, and I want you to think about this, okay? And let's do a rational chat on this part of it. So there is a bird flu, let's say, going through. Now they've tested your flock, and you have a flock of, let's say, you got 100,000 chickens because you're a pretty good sized producer of eggs that you're selling and that type of stuff, right? And they come to you and they say, now we've tested your birds, and there's nothing wrong with your birds, but we're going to have you cull all your birds anyway. We're going to pay you for culling the birds, but we're going to have you get rid of every one of your birds. Does that make any kind of sense at all? Is that rational? If you have a healthy flock that's not sick, that doesn't have the bird flu, why would you kill all of them? That doesn't make any kind of sense unless things were being done intentionally to drive up prices. That's interesting, isn't it? I mean, think about what are egg prices right now? What are egg prices right now? So it's just there's a lot of stuff going on that is not a good thing. So yeah, he who controls the food controls the people. Absolutely. You know, I would refuse to cull the birds. You can't. When the government comes in and says you're going to do this, see how that's worked out for people through time. See, and again, there's the other part where we're slaves. We have this illusion of freedom. You know, as long as you do what you're told. So that's the interesting part of it. You're free, and you can do whatever you want to do, as long as you do what you're told. If you don't do what you're told, then we're going to have a problem. So, it's just, I don't know. I don't get it. I'm glad I have my own chickens, that I get my own eggs, because I'll tell you right now, I would not pay $5 or $6 a dozen for eggs. I wouldn't do it. Um, you know, there's a lot of things that, like, even like the Cheez-Its that used to be here. I'm not going to go and pay what they want for a box of Cheez-Its. Now, a lot of people, it's a joke or whatever, have bought me a box of Cheez-Its. And I generally never eat the whole box. And it ends up going stale because it's not like I eat Cheez-Its all the time. I like Cheez-Its. I think they're good. Like all the chicken farm fires a few years ago, RC Kev. Exactly. Or all the meat processing fires, RC Kev, when beef prices, got to the point where they are now, right? First, so here's a weird thing. We don't want you eating beef, right? We don't want you eating beef. We don't want you doing that because it's bad for you and all this type of thing. And then all of a sudden you're having all these issues, so beef prices all went up. So to a point of unaffordability for a lot of people. So they go, well, I can't afford to do that. And so then now you have, and they were doing that lab meat crap, that fake meat or bug meat and all this other nonsense. I don't want none of that garbage. I don't want none of that garbage. I used to pay $1.39 for an 18-count carton of eggs. Now it's over $8. Yeah, that's insane. And that's just, Ed just wondering, are there a lot of drug problems in West Virginia? There's a lot of drug problems everywhere, folks. I don't care where you go in the country, all right? I don't care where you go in the country. There's going to be drug problems. You're never going to escape that. There's going to be people that are on drugs. Now, is there... I think a lot of it depends on where you are, too, okay? There's always going to be meth. That's going to happen. You're not going to get rid of it. There's always going to be cocaine. There's always going to be crack. There's always going to be fentanyl, all those type of stuff. Why? Until somebody's not making a profit off of those things, they're always going to be there. And so when you see, well, how is so many of these drugs getting across the southern border, right? It's because it's being allowed to get across the southern border. If they can keep us dumbed down with drugs and alcohol, making our kids more stupid in school so they don't have to try as hard to get ahead, right? Think about it. What's the educational system like in America now? It's a freaking joke. It's a joke. I mean, when you stop, and I want you to think about this, okay? When you stop teaching kids cursive, how to write in cursive, I mean, are you serious? They don't teach kids cursive anymore. Why? Right? What, are they too stupid to know how to do writing cursive? A lot of them are now, right? They can't read a clock on the wall unless it's digital. I mean, it's just it goes on and on and on. In the coddling, I mean, we need to go back to a time where I'm going to tell you what. Like I said, I was a bad kid, guys. Okay, and I've said it 100 million times. I was not a good kid growing up. I was a troublemaker. I was always getting in trouble. Um, I had, like I said, I had a principal because I started a food fight in the cafeteria. Yeah, I was the one. Yeah, and started throwing stuff, and he took me into that office, and he grabbed me by the my hair, and he pulled my head down. Well, I was used to my sister pulling my hair all the time, so I didn't care about that, right? And I pulled my head back up and looked him in the eye, and then he got me with both hands, and he was stronger than me because I was what, 12 or 13, right? And he was a grown man, and I couldn't get my head. I tried. I couldn't get my head back up, But did I go home crying to mama that the assistant principal pulled my hair? No, because I was being an a-hole, and I got what I deserved. I mean, that's just the way it was. So, yeah, so you can't read the Declaration of Independence or the Constitution. That's what I think Yvonne just said. It's just, it's that constant dumbing down. Who remembers? I mean, oh my God. Okay, let's just go with Common Core math. What kind of moron thought that up and thought that that would be the better way to teach your kids how to do math? Is that not one of, yeah, now we know why I shaved my head. Yeah, they can't pull my hair if I don't have any. Um, but again, you know, what moron thought up of Common Core math? I mean, that is the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life. When if you just do it the right way, it's way quicker, right? But they don't teach that anymore. That's now the acceptable way to teach kids is this Common Core math crap. And I want to remember who remembers, and California tried to put this into law, if you remember, because I'm a child from that era, right? Ebonics. Who remembers Ebonics out in California? That they wanted that to be made a language, that ignorant, guttural crap talk, out there. I remember that. I'm going to tell you a quick story, right? I'm going to tell you a quick story. So I was in nursing school, and we would have meetings. And well, actually, first of all, we're 267 in the chat, guys. We got 89 thumbs up. If you have not shot a thumbs up yet, I'm going to ask you real quick to please do that to show support for the channel. I do appreciate that. Also, it really does make a huge, huge difference with the algorithm. So the more interaction, the better it is for the channel. Also, again, if you are not subscribed to the channel, I would ask you to please subscribe. Make sure that you hit that bell icon to get all notifications as well. And I thank you for that as well. But anyway, so I'm in nursing school, and we would have, like, in the mornings, we would get together in like the conference room, and the instructor would be going over. This is when we were doing our rotations. Okay, so I did an OB rotation where we're dealing with babies. We did a brain injury rotation where we were working with people with ATV or car accidents and traumatic brain injury. That was wild to watch that, or to see some of these people, the way they looked before and the way that they look now. Unbelievable. But so you had your nursing homes. You had to do those different places. So we were working. It was at the Jewish Home of Rochester. So we're doing our one of our rotations there, and we're in our last rotation. Okay, this is the last one. So once we get done with this one, we're getting ready to graduate. And there was one girl in particular, and I've told you guys this before. I have one prejudice. I have one prejudice. I don't care what color you are. I don't care what religion you are, any of that type of stuff. I have zero tolerance for stupid people. I can't. I just don't have the energy to waste on somebody who's a moron. So if I'm having a conversation with somebody and I realize that they're a moron, I will literally go, hey, listen, I'll shake their hand. Very, very nice talking to you. Thank you so much. You have a wonderful day. And I'll walk away because I can't do it. I'm not going to waste my time or energy with people that are idiots. Okay. So, that being said, so we're in this rotation and we're in the conference room before the class starts. And this one girl, uh, she's talking and she says, she uses the term minds, right? And I'm sure some of you know, they've heard that term. And I looked at her, and her name was Frida. I'll never forget the name, never forget her because she was an idiot. Ebonics, exactly. So she says to me, or she says mines, and I go, whoa, wait a minute, Frida. I go, the correct terminology is mine, not mines. I go, mines is not a word. And she goes, well, my baby says it. And I looked right at her and I went, where do you think your baby learned it from? Right. And at that point, the instructor goes, okay, Ed. It's like, okay, Ed, that's enough. But I just can't deal with that. That's just, if you want to be ignorant, go be ignorant someplace else. That's not the place that you want somebody who is going to take care of you, to be your caregiver, to be an ignorant, stupid person. That's not the place. Okay. So, I can't spell worth the crap, but that doesn't make me stupid. I can speak properly. It doesn't make me stupid because I can't spell very well. Um, so anyway, and I love when people, like, they correlate that with, oh well, you have to be stupid because you don't spell well. It was never important to me. Never was important to me. So, um, but anyway, so um, this same rotation, right? One of the other girls had come up to me and she said, oh my God, Ed, she goes, I know you can't stand Frida. She goes, so I have to tell you this. Now, put it in context, okay? Frida was black, yes. This other nursing student, she was also black, but she was not ignorant and stupid black. She was, somebody that was trying to get ahead and stuff like that. And she came to me and she goes, you are not going to believe this. And I'm like, oh God, what did she do now? She goes, the instructor came in. I think we were 6 weeks away from graduating from nursing school. I'm just trying to put this in context so you guys understand. Now, we've been going to school for a whole year. We're 6 weeks away. We're getting ready to graduate. She goes, the instructor came into the room and she was in the room with this Frida. Okay. And the instructor said to her, I would like you to take Mrs. Smith's temperature axillary. And so she went, okay. And so the instructor walks out of the room and Frida looks at this other nursing student and says, what's axillary? Now, axillary, for those of you that don't know, is under your arm. So you would take the thermometer and you would put it under here. That's axillary. That's what they call it. We are 6 weeks away from graduating from nursing school. So again, I'm trying to put this in perspective for you, okay? And this stupid moron did not know what axillary was at that point of our training. Frightening, guys. Frightening. Now with you graduate from nursing school, but unless you pass your boards, you're never a nurse. Okay. I heard through the grapevine later that Frida had taken her boards 3 different times and never passed. And I said, thank God for small miracles, because if that woman had got her nursing license, she would have killed somebody because she was that stupid. So again, you know, um, only 3 ways. Exactly, Don. Exactly. But, this is what we were dealing with some of these people. And, but I'm just like so ever grateful that she never made it. She never made it. So, but, it's just, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy out there. And you're going to, in whatever job you're working, okay? I can remember being in the Army, all right? And, you had these guys that had been in the Army for 16, 17 years, and they were an E5, maybe an E6, maybe um, dumber than a box of rocks, but because they had been in for so long, they actually had some rank, right? And they're the ones telling us what to do. And I remember thinking, this guy's an idiot. And they're idiots, folks. They're idiots. They just stay. They don't ever leave because there's nothing else to go to. So they'll just stay in the service and get their 20 years in and get that pension or longer, however long they decide to stay. So, but yes, that goes for any profession. Exactly. But when you're working with people for a living and their lives are in your hands, and in nursing, okay, these people's lives are in your hands, you better know what you're doing. I'll tell you another quick story, nursing story as well. Okay. I was, so when in nursing school, they don't teach you about ventilators in nursing school. It's not one of the things that you do. Um, you know, they had, all they had was time in the service. Yeah, no kidding. Exactly, JJ. Um, so you didn't learn how to do, you didn't get vent certified till after you got done with school. Okay. But so what happened in my case, I was working for this agency, doing agency work, and they said, there was a bunch of us going through orientation, and they said, "Who wants to get vent certified?" And I'm like, anything that's going to help me sell myself out there in the public, I'm like, yeah, I'll do it. Okay. And so you go through the process and you become vent certified. So there's all kinds of different ventilators and there's different procedures and stuff like that with the ventilators. And so you had to get certified to work on vents. Okay. So, and I'm going to tell you what, I've trained RNs how to do vents that had no training in ventilators. So, like when people would say to me, "Are you an RN or just an LPN?" Trust me, I love that one. That was always one of my favorites. But anyway, so you had to do this. So I was taking care of this lady's father. So we, as the nurses, were only there to take care of the father. So the father was in this bed, the mother was in this bed. The daughter, a lot of the times, slept on the floor between the two of them if there wasn't a nurse there because she just, she's trying to keep her family home. Italian, very family oriented, and a lot of the times they take care of their own. And so her father was on a vent. Okay. And so she would be like, "Hey, I have to run to the store or whatever." And I'd be like, "Yeah, go ahead, do what you got to do." Okay. So um, I wasn't on. So she had my private number. If she needed me, she could call me. And she calls me up and she's like just distraught. Okay. And she says, "They killed my father. They killed my father." And I'm like, nursing, you must take class certifications every so often. Yes. Yeah, there's certain stuff that you have to do. Yes. Uh, so anyway, so what happened was the so on the ventilator that you had the tubing. Okay, now this was more old school. They've changed it since then because of these type of problems. So you had a little thermometer, okay, a little thermometer that was pushed in at some point on the tubing to regulate the temperature, so you could kind of see what the temperature was at. Well, what happened in this situation? The daughter wasn't home. The nurse was there with the father, and that little thermometer had popped off. Okay. Now, what happens is, as a nurse, right, you troubleshoot, right? You figure you're going through what could possibly be wrong. Why isn't this working properly, and all that type of stuff. So now this guy can't breathe. Can't breathe. That ventilator's not working properly. He's not breathing. So he's panicking. Okay. Well, what ended up happening was he he's panicking. She's trying to figure out what's wrong. And she didn't know that little thermometer had popped off, right? So guess what this nurse did, folks? Guess what this nurse did? She took his hands and she prayed. That's what she did. She didn't go through the steps and figure out what in the heck was going wrong and try to save this guy's life. He died. because she took his hands and she prayed, and guess what? Didn't work. Okay, and I'm sorry, that's not the solution at that point in time. You have to go through the steps and figure out, okay, why isn't this working? I'll tell you another story of what happened real quick to me personally one time. Okay, and this is a true story as well. So anyway, that man died, and she was obviously very distraught. Another true story. I was taking care of Richie. Now Richie was paralyzed from the neck down. Okay. Yeah. Well, you troubleshoot the machine. Exactly, Don. Well, I don't know what she should. I don't know what happened after that. I don't know. Um, I don't know what happened after that, JJ, because I didn't talk to that lady again, and I had left the agency, I think, already at that point. So I have no idea what happened. But she should have lost her job. Absolutely should have lost her job. But anyway, so another true story that happened to me. Um, so Richie, I've talked about Richie a lot, and Richie's passed away now, and part of my heart died with that little boy. And he wasn't a little boy anymore; he's a grown man. But I love that kid. So I started taking care of Richie when Richie was 10 years old, paralyzed, neck down. And what we would do would go with Dad on Sundays, and we'd get in the van and we would go to the movies and we would go to breakfast and we would do those type of things. So there wasn't a whole lot you can do with a kid that's in a wheelchair driving it around with his chin. Okay, so what we would have to do is we'd get to the theater, and he had to be cathed every so often. Okay, and so he wasn't on a permanent catheter, so we would have to go into the bathroom, and I would give him his meds, and I would cath him and do those type of things. So if you see these stalls, they're not that big. Okay, especially when you got a big old wheelchair. All right, so get him in there, and they're bigger now, but back then it wasn't as big. So uh, so what happened is, so he would kick the wheelchair back so it would be reclined. Okay, well, his ventilator was on the back half of that wheelchair. Okay, so where he's got, it's here because he's got his trach and he's got it right here, and and I'm taking care of his thing. Well, what happened was that popped off, that part popped off. Okay, and it fell and it went behind the wheelchair. I didn't have any room to get back behind that wheelchair. So we'll do egg count in just a second. So what ended up happening was I had tried to reach and to grab it. And now I have half of one of these front teeth is fake and the other one is chipped because racquetball accident. So they, and when I reached, my teeth hit that, and I took out one of those fake teeth. Like half of that tooth. It just shattered it. And so what I did, because I couldn't get to it to do that, I popped the door open real quick, and I yelled to somebody, "Go out there and call for Richie's father." And what I did is I breathed for him, just like you would have somebody, that you were trying to do mouth to mouth to, but you do it through the trach. Okay. So what I was doing is I would, take a breath, and then I would blow in, give him a breath. And when I would give him that breath, he was able to talk, and he was scared. I mean, this kid was scared, and he's like, "I love you, Ed. Don't let anything happen to me." And I mean, I'm not panicking because you can't panic in that situation. So somebody had gone out, got Richard, his father. Richard came in, and I'm taking breaths for him so that he stays alive. And I'm like, "Get the hose, grab the hose and give it to me," because I couldn't get to it. There was no room for me to get around. So we grabbed it, we popped it back on, and Richie was fine. But those situations are going to happen in that type, it's you. You are the last line of defense as a nurse when you're doing one-on-one with somebody, either private duty, home care, agency, whatever way you're doing it. I was doing Medicaid cases at the time, and that's what happened. And I'll tell you what, I was scared. I ain't gonna lie, that scared the crap out of me. But you can't panic. I never panic. I've never panicked in my life. It's part of my makeup anyway. I deal with situations. I'll assess the situation and I'll be like, "Oh, this isn't good," or whatever. but then you deal with it, and that's what you have to do. So, again, it's with any kind of situation, you have to deal with it on a level per or person by person situation. You know, I've rolled up on car accidents and been right there when it happened, and you keep people calm. You're going to be okay. I'm here for you. Don't move. Blah 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 blah. And then when the ambulance people get there and their egos are like their heads are like this freaking big, a lot of them, I walk away then because they're there. That's their job. So, but my aunt will be 70 years old. She is still working as a nurse. She loves her job. That's awesome. Well, good. That's awesome, Brad, that she's still doing that. At and after SHTF, then who will know how to deal with situations like that you went through? Only people that know, Delbert. You're going to have, people like me that have the experience would have to train other people. You're going to be doing cross training big time with people in that type of a situation. So what do we got? 297 in the chat, guys. We got 164 thumbs up. So I'm going to ask real quick again. If you have not shot a thumbs up yet, to please do so to show support for the channel. Again, I thank you ahead of time. It really makes a huge, huge difference with the algorithms. So I thank you for that as well. Again, also, if you are not subscribed to the channel, I would ask you to please subscribe. Make sure you hit that bell icon to get all notifications as well. And again, thank you for that. All right, so let's go ahead and do an egg count real quick because the time's gone by really fast, even though we got like part of the stream and then from there. So how many eggs today? And the yes or no for Miss Betty White. So we'll go from there. You guys get your guesses in. I'll give you a moment and we'll go from there. Gorgeous day though down here. Straight sunshine all day long. It was absolutely awesome. It's really, really nice. And a lot of snow melted today. So, all right, guys. If you had the same exact guess as Sonia Klein with 2 eggs and the yes for Miss Betty White, then you are 100% correct. So congratulations to Sonia. You've won absolutely nothing, but you are happy about it. So there we go. Yeah, I got the 5 hens, and I'm not unhappy about getting what I got. So because there was a while was getting nothing. We were getting absolutely nothing. Yeah, last week was not a real fun week. It was funny. Me and Steve were talking about after he got out of work. We were talking about like the weather, and I go, it's weird. I go, it's really not that warm, but it feels really nice. And he goes, oh, exactly. He was having people coming in talking about how cold they were, and he was like, what do you mean? This isn't cold. So, I don't mind the cold. It's not the cold that bothers me. It's when you have that wind with it. So. How long does hens and a rooster live? You're looking at between 5 and 8 years, Brad, in that range. Probably, if they're taken care of well, about 8 years for a chicken. Now, they won't lay that whole time. And a lot of people, what they'll do is they'll cut them loose out of the flock if they're not laying anymore. But you should realistically add a few more hens every year just to keep the flock strong. That happens. So puppy count in the future, right? Yeah, I'll tell you what, they're just so amazing. Sitting outside today, and they're out running around doing their thing. And I was just sitting on the steps of the camper, just sitting there, And the next thing I know, I had four dogs. They came over and they kind of like all laid down and just sat there with me. It was so cool. So yeah, they're getting real big. And it's so funny because Anubis, the female, you can already see the size disparity. The boys are really starting to get a lot bigger. I lost a 9-year-old chicken on Friday. Have one old one left. Yeah, Wichita. It's the ones up north. Thick Neck is still kicking, but I guess according to Becky, she's not laying anymore, which doesn't surprise me. I mean, I've had that chicken a long time. She's been around a long time. So, but we lost a lot of the older hens. A lot of the older hens died. But yep. So oh yeah, they're so fun. The puppies are awesome. Oh, and the chickens too. They know if I got bread or whatever, they know. Oh, I had one that was young and died, was egg bound. Yeah, that happens too, unfortunately. Yeah, thick neck is a strong chicken. She's been. I'm trying to think how old that chicken is. God, she's got to be 8 years old by now. But yeah, she just keeps doing her thing. But yeah, I like I enjoy the chickens. Love the puppies. Puppies are awesome. And at this point, yes, I'm keeping all of them. So I'm attached now, so I'm not getting rid of any more. Uh, Thick neck was a Americana, I think. I think she was an Americana. Is what they called it, because she laid the bluish egg. It wasn't a white egg. It was a bluish egg. So more watchdogs, exactly. No, you can never have defensively. You can never have too much, and that's just my opinion. So where will you build your chicken coop? What we're probably going to end up doing, and I've been thinking about all of this. Okay, I'm actually thinking of that whole plateau there, where the chickens are right now. We'll probably just turn that because eventually we'll probably end up turning the pavilion into like a community center. We'll expand it because it's already there, and we can just expand that instead of starting to try to build another whole building someplace else. So we'll probably just expand, um, that. And what I'm thinking is where the chickens are now is putting in a chicken coop a little further back, and then putting in a nice run for them. And then I'm actually thinking of taking Hella's uh, kennel and taking that down over there and putting up fencing so that I have all five of the dogs can. A bald man with five big German shepherds on standby. Scary thought. Well, they better fear me more than they fear the dogs, because I'll bite before they will. Um, but yeah, it's just they're just the dogs are just absolutely awesome. I absolutely love the crap out of them. They're so much fun, and it's so funny when I open that door. What you'll see a lot of, and I got to get it on video. I got to show you guys on video because it's hysterical when they do it. And when I first let them out, it's like they'll be on top of each other. It'd be like four dogs all trying to get out that little crack of the door open that much all at the same time. Um, you know, are your chickens black, white, or gray colored chickens? I have one white. That's Miss Betty White. I don't have any black chickens. I got a couple of brown chickens. Oh wow! So you'll have five dogs. And yeah, RC Kev, thank you very much for the donation. And yes, I'll have five dogs. I don't care. I'm all right. How do you train dogs not to be gun shy? That's actually very easy, believe it or not. The way that you do that, this is a great. Oh, so anyway, I have a gray chicken. I have a white chicken. I have and three brown hens. So here's how you train a dog not to be gun shy. What you do is you have the dog come out with you and you have him sit, and you start out with a 22, right? Because a 22 is not real loud. So you'll take a shot with a 22, see how the dog reacts, and you'll work with that dog with the 22. Once they're comfortable with the 22, then you go up to maybe your 9 millimeter, and so because that's going to be louder. So they're used to that noise at that point. It's just a louder noise. You can ruin a dog by taking a shotgun out and shooting the shotgun first. Yeah, you desensitize it. Exactly. If you shoot a shotgun first and have not brought that up, um, yes, I have my incubators down here in West Virginia, Delbert. Yeah. So if I need to, I can incubate eggs to make more chickens. So, but that's like I said, you got to desensitize the animal so that it's not like hears that gunshot and freaks out. Because if you just go out there and shoot the shotgun and they're not ready for it, you will ruin that dog that way. So you have to teach them not to be afraid, and that's how you do it. So, and then when a situation comes up, then they're okay with the noise. Kavir, Minnesota doesn't allow chickens in backyards. Well, a lot of towns don't do it. There'll be like a city coordinates or some towns coordinates. What they'll do is they'll say you can only have like 5 hens, but you can't have any roosters. So they won't allow that depending on where you are. Now, obviously, out here where I am, nobody gives a crap. Everybody's got chickens and stuff out here. So um, it's just like with Lucky. He just showed up. That's how I ended up starting getting chickens because he just showed up. And so I said, well, we'll keep them. And then Paul and Barbara bought me the 5 hens. Actually, they brought me 6, and they were bullies to the black hen, Miss, Wheezy. They were bullies to her. So she had to go back with them, and she's done fine. Since she's been back with them, she's absolutely been fine. So what do we got? 280 in the chat. We're at 197. We had to hit 200 thumbs up, guys. So I need 3 more. So again, if you haven't done it yet, let's do that real quick before I jump off here, just for fun. And 200 is a nice round number of thumbs up, so I would appreciate that. So a lot of people have chickens around here. I live in the city. Yeah, but I'll bet they don't have roosters, Sonia. Right? I bet they don't have roosters. So, but there we go. Well over 200 now. All right, guys. Well, listen. Uh, please be safe. Keep prepping. Take care of your business. Do what you got to do, and you're going to be just fine. And that's the key. Just take care of your business. Take care of what you can control. Control what you can control. Be as ready as you can be, because when that other shoe drops, I think a lot of people are not going to expect it the way it's going to come. I don't say for sure it's going to be one way. It could be a lot of different ways that it happens. So you just have to do the best that you can and kind of go from there. So anyway, guys, be safe. Keep prepping. I will see you all on the next one. Tomorrow, 8 o'clock, I will be doing a live stream for my hardcore members. So if you would like to join us in that, you can. All you have to do is go to my main page here on YouTube, hit the join button, become a hardcore member, and you can join us in that private chat. And I do that once a week. So, all right. Have a great night, everybody, and I will talk to you all later. Prep Nurse 1 out for now.